Today's topic is what your skin actually listens to. So it's the hidden intelligence behind ingredients. So most people choose skincare based on ingredients, and that's completely understandable, because that's what we think about, right? Retinols, peptides, hyaluronic acid. But if ingredients were actually telling the full story, similar formulas would actually create similar results, and they don't. So the reason why is because the skin doesn't respond to an ingredient the way we've learned or the way we've been taught. Like, here's an ingredient, here's how it works. This is what's going to show up for you. So it actually responds to what it recognizes, how it recognizes it, whether it can use it, and if it will resonate with it. So my goal today is to give a completely kind of different lens on what helps you understand how your skin actually works. So let's go ahead and talk about the actual ingredients, right? And the quality of the ingredient and how it's extracted, how it's handled, because the ingredient name can be the same, but how it works is completely different. And I talk about this with nutrition as well all the time. So how a raw ingredient is handled, how it's extracted is key. So it's about not only the timing of the harvesting of that product by nature, but also the timing of the plant itself. The younger it is, the more nutrients it has. The less it stays on the ground waiting to be picked up, the more nutrients it has. The sooner it's processed in a extraction process, the more active ingredients it has, the more potent it is. And so it's really about potency, purity, and viability. So those are all really key things. Let's talk about active percentage. So it's more about balance, not maxing them out. And that is really a key thing, because if it's more, it's not better. High percentages can overwhelm the skin, especially if that skin cell barrier isn't supported. So you're using a new product with high percentage of active ingredients. It can be very, very challenging for the skin. So what happens is that when each ingredient is tested, and it's tested for its viability, and it's tested to have it show what the actions and effects are that should be of that particular ingredient. And that is based on a percentage. So if it's too low, it's just a name. It has no results at all. If it's right in the middle, it's going to have a range. And a lot of times I will decide on what percentage we're going with a specific product based on the cell turnover. For example, the spot cream has a pretty high cell turnover rate because I want it to be a little bit higher active. But for the most part, I want that percentage to be gentle and timely and not disruptive. So it's a matter of over time, it's effective and doesn't max out because the percentage is too high. So if it's the right amount in the right system, it's always going to outperform excess or, of course, low percentages. So let's go more specifically into ingredients. So first, it's about what the skin is looking for, right? That biocompatibility. So having kind of anchor ingredients that mimic the same aspect of either part of a cell or inside a cell, right? So for example, macadamia oil mimics natural sebum, right? Squalene is recognized by the lipid, the fats. The olive oil derived lipids actually are very compatible with the barrier so that our body can actually utilize them because it recognizes them and it integrates with them. Let's talk about the lipid repair first, because the lipid repair has to do with the cell. The cell has a layer or a membrane around the cell that's a layer of individual cells. And this is the lipid barrier that not only protects the ingredients in the cell, it has to be breathable as well. So it has to be able to detox, it has to be able to take nutrients in, and it has to be able to breathe. And if we have ingredients that are similar to our own lipid barrier, it will take the place of it, but they might not be as pliable or flexible or resilient, and then they become stiff. And the best example of this is hydrogenated oils. In food, with hydrogenated oils, if you eat a lot of hydrogenated oils, it actually replaces that skin cell barrier, that lipid barrier, but it's stiff. It's not pliable. It doesn't breathe. So it eventually kills the cell. So let's talk about hydration. And hydration is that signaling amplifier. So dehydrated skin equals poor response, right? Hydrated skin is receptive skin. And that's because our system is electrical. It's electrical and electromagnetic, as well as it is, positive and negative ions. So the ability for it to really respond to our environment, to look amazing, to be able to be the healthiest that it is in supporting us and protecting us, it has to be hydrated. So the ingredient anchors here have to do with liposomal hyaluronic acid. So a lot of times people talk about hyaluronic acid for hydration, and we're talking about a lot of times on the surface of the skin. Liposomal hyaluronic acid, I want it delivered to the deeper cells in the skin. So when that skin cell that it's forming comes to the surface of the skin, it's resilient and it is able to handle the environment, and it is looking amazing, right? Supple, beautiful, toned, even. All of those things have to do with how the cells come to the surface of the skin, not just repairing the surface. So cellular support is where the change happens, right? Because it's about the cell-to-cell communication. It's about the actives, but not just those, but the conditions, right? So this is where those anchor ingredients on cellular support make a difference. That, like, for example, the vitamin C that has that liposomal protection, the best job that vitamin C does is collagen signaling. And a lot of times people are using vitamin C because they say, oh, it improves collagen, right? And it increases your collagen. It's collagen signaling. It's what the cell needs to help it to produce a beautiful collagen molecule. Peptides are great for structure. And someone did ask a question about peptides and peptides on the skin. I am a fan of having peptides speak the same language as the skin to help it to create a structure. I don't feel like we need to inject peptides. I think we can, really get our body to increase the production of peptides. So apple stem cell is, it's about longevity and support of those cells, because that's key as well. It's not just about a healthy cell. It's also a cell that knows how to have longevity, because it learns how to regenerate itself. Cells can last a very, very long time the healthier they are. The weaker, the more deficient, the more dehydrated they are, the shorter the lifespan of the cell. And when we start losing more cells than we're producing that have those beautiful collagen, that's where the skin can look really broken down and really degraded down. So it's about having longevity of the cell as well. The last one, 5, is protection and adaptation. This is daily exposure. Our skin is constantly adapting and responding to the environment. And you can really, really see this when you are thinking about, for example, summer. You're in your nice air-conditioned house and you go out and you walk to the car and it's hot and humid, or you walk to this, to the subway and there's heat and humidity. Then you get into your car and you blast the air conditioning, and that air, the cold air, is blowing on your face. You get out of your car and walk into a grocery store or your works, whatever it is, and they have the temperature set at, freezing. So all of these are just this constant second by second, minute by minute of our face, our skin having to acclimate to our environment. And it needs key ingredients to be able to do that, because it's about its defense system, right? So just to name a few of those anchor ingredients that we use with Tru Energy are green and white tea. And that's that antioxidant defense, because the salt on our face creates that oxidative stress. So it's that antioxidant defense. Let's actually go to that Tru Energy is really keyed in on, which is the frequencies, right? The communication level. Like, what makes Tru Energy different than any other skincare? It's not now, it's the ingredients and how it's layered and how the formulas are put together. Very intentional, very functional, and very, designed to show up. But now we also are increasing communication with the cells by adding that little little green bead or a little blue bead. And cellular communication is really, really vital to having all the cells do the same thing. I mean, it sounds like kind of a funny concept. Like, well, of course, the cells all do the same thing. But if the cells all did the same thing, we wouldn't have oily skin one place and dry skin the other. We wouldn't have lesions here or, acne here or, all of the different things that can show up. It is about cell to cell communication. And the more our cells communicate, the more they have the ability to increase the energy. So increase in communication, increase in energy, increase in results. That's the thing with that little green bead and the little blue bead. But to talk a little bit more about the infusion with a frequency pattern is a few things. One, what it supports to specifically the green and the blue bead. And actually the green and the blue bead have the same base formula. The base formula is cellular communication, hydration signaling, repair pathways, overall skin cohesiveness, meridian balance, collagen production signaling, and all activating that communication in that energy field, like that vibrational energy, that frequency that vibrates that communication. So it helps the skin to recognize and respond more efficiently. The blue bead is supportive more it has the meridian balance. It has everything above like circadian rhythms as well, but it also has multiple different frequencies that manage the discoloration that's on the surface of the skin from where the clusters are. So it's discoloration, which are usually due to inflammation, stress response, hormone imbalance that create that uneven skin tone. What is the definition of an active ingredient versus an inactive ingredient? What is the definition of an active ingredient versus an inactive ingredient? So an ingredient is just a name of an ingredient. What makes it active is the percentage that is in it follows along with the efficacy of the studies that show results. So if you have, for example, a 0.20 percentage or a 25%, doesn't make a difference what the percentage is, but in the clinical studies, in the efficacy studies, you get the results that the ingredient is cited for only if you reach that percentage. And then so anything below it is a name, but it's inactive. Anything at that percentage that has the results becomes an active. Is it advisable to put a blue bead in a product that has a green bead? Probably not. If a green bead is in the product, it has everything it needs. The blue beads are very specific for the skin discoloration and the blotchiness, and also around the mouth, because the lip peptide has it as well, because our lips often get sunburned. And then the other, so it's the spot treatment, the lip, and the oil. And the oil, because of that penetration, I wanted it to really be able to be everything for everyone kind of thing. What about taking peptides orally, and who is a good candidate for that? So essentially taking peptides orally is really, I mean, a peptide is really just collagen broken down. I mean, collagen is made up of peptides. Taking them orally is what we do all the time with collagen powders and things like that. So generally speaking, that is fine, because your body's going to utilize what it can utilize and then not use what it can't. The primary thing right here is bioavailability, which we talked about, as well as how repaired is the gut. So it's kind of like the skin. If the skin needs repair, it's going to maybe take a few months before it can start utilizing all the ingredients. That's why a lot of times I'll call the deck bioadaptive, because our skin is kind of at different layers at different times, depending on how repaired it is, depending on the seasons, depending on changing of the seasons, which makes a difference as well. Do you have any products that would help circulation of the hair follicles? So that's the scalp. So the body protocol on the body sculpting and the lymphatic repair, I actually have a protocol going through, taking the stone through the scalp, which one helps lymphatic detox. So that's the brain's ability to detox. And I usually do that at night, because that's when our brain detoxes the most. However, anything that you do, like whether it's the face wand, the stone, you're going to way increase circulation of the scalp and follicles more than just doing your hands and fingers, because it has that frequency. But anything that really moves that, as far as physically stimulating that. As far as products themselves, I don't have something that I've specifically designed for circulation. All we're really talking about is just rehydrating the follicles of the hair. What's the greatest benefit of the stone mask? So I have a body sculpting stone, a face mask, and an eye mask. So the body sculpting stone is about repairing the lymphatic system of the body, lymphatic system of the brain. It helps to sculpt for those underarm saggy baggies and the thinning skin. The lotion and the body sculpting stone are amazing for thinning skin. You really see the difference on that very quickly. The face mask is imprinted with helping the dark spots on the face, as well as it also is just amazing for just having that experience of having weight on your face and how that really puts you in that parasympathetic mode. So is it good to take collagen orally as well as using all the Tru Energy products? Yes, I actually am a big fan of taking collagen, especially as we age and having it bioavailable. Sometimes you just can't get collagen out of meat because, it's the same thing we talked about with ingredients. It has to be bioavailable depending on how in your gut it might not be. I loved that y'all dropped in any of those things that were like pearls for you for the class, what you thought, like, oh, I didn't know that, or what was like a good takeaway that, wow, people should really know that about Tru Energy, because I didn't know that, or I did know that, but really emphasizing it, or breaking it down was really helpful. So any and all of those comments were really, really helpful because it helps me to, really learn how to speak about Tru Energy. It's so, so different that a lot of times you don't really know until you show up here, right? Once you show up here at the webinars and we can kind of chat and you're asking questions and I'm answering questions, those are all things that are helpful for me. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for showing up with and hanging out with me today. Absolutely love you. Thank you. And I will see y'all next month. All right. Love you. Love you. Bye bye.